Welcome, everyone. Benvinguts. We are very happy to have you all here. It's been quite a long time that this big family of FEBEA didn't meet, since Athens in 2019, where we had an amazing conference, and I think this one is going to be as amazing as that one. So without further ado, I would like to welcome you to enjoy this exciting day that we have ahead of us. And I will let now the President do the honors and introduce the session. Thank you.
Gracias, Daniel.
Thank you, Daniel. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for attending this event that we've been able to celebrate after 3 years. The last one was held in Athens in 2019. I would like to thank, first of all, the Banca Etica group for working with FEBEA in the organization of this event in Barcelona, and particularly FIARE, Banca Etica, for participating actively in the organization of the event. I would like to thank the support of Barcelona City Council and Barcelona Activa, that long ago they believe and supported the value of ethical finances and have been working with Banca Etica and FEBEA in the organization of this event that will be a turning point in the recognition and the importance of ethical finance in Europe. As I was saying last time we gathered in Athens 3 years ago, the conference was excellent. We couldn't imagine at that moment what was ahead of us at that moment, the following 3 years. And here we are. We have experience as citizens and ethical finance organizations. We have experienced too much pain, too much suffering. Some people say too quickly, according to my view, that these are times for opportunities, that the crisis means an opportunity, that all crises, whether it is a pandemic or a war, entails or means an opportunity. And I don't think that we think this way, or at least this is not what comes to our mind first. The past 3 years has been a process that is creating our behavior. Maybe it's an opportunity to show and to prove ourselves that we deserve, that the principles, the values, the way we work, the values we are committed are worthwhile. It's not just being different from others. It's not greenwashing or solidarity washing. It is worthwhile what we're doing, our values. Ethical finances, its priorities, its styles are the right ones to face moments such as the one we are living. In this stress test that we are undergoing, we have understood that we are financial intermediaries, of course, but we are a lot more than that. Credit and beyond. A lot more than financial operators in the market. This is what we want to show today. We want to talk with you because you have had the need to be here with us, sharing the event. And I'm sure that it will be a fruitful day because ethical finance get richer when we have a debate, when we talk about it, when we try to stress that our way of working, our values are worthwhile. Thank you very much for your attention. As I was saying, the Banca Etica group co-organizes together with FEBEA this conference, and we're going to hear the words of a representative of Banca Etica Group, Ugo Bigeri, who has been the president of the cooperative of the bank. Now he's a president of the management of SGR, who's going to share some reflections, some ideas about why ethical bank and FEBEA, why credit and beyond. The commitment with FIARE and Banca Etica has been since the beginning, and I'm very happy to be here. I'll try to speak in Spanish. I haven't spoken Spanish for a while. Welcome from Banca Etica on behalf of its president, Ana Fabano, who hasn't been able to be with us here today. As a group, we consider FEBEA's work very important and the network of relations it creates. The mix of different financial organizations from different countries, it's something unique and very important. In FEBEA, we have banks with a full license as a commercial banks, and organizations with alternative tools and even activism, financial activism. But we are members, all members of full right, and this allows us to develop a new idea of political opposition at a European level. Our diversity is something that it's a wealth, enriches us. We have a new definition of sustainable finance today that it's been developed by the European Commission, a new regulation that is affecting countries outside the European Union. It's a challenge because sustainable finance deals with financial products and not how to perform finance in a sustainable way. And regulation is not bad. There are positive aspects of the new regulations 2838. For instance, the common definitions, the principle of not significantly harm. It means not harming in other areas of sustainability, and the challenge of measuring the best possible way. To measure the impact is a challenge as well for us. So here it's a positive trend coming from the European Union, but there have been mistakes such as the inclusion of gas or the nuclear power in the taxonomy of energy. And the fact that the regulation seems to indicate that sustainable financial products have to have a medium and high risk. That means that they are not good for all citizens, because if the risk is medium or high, it means that it's for investors and institutions. And this is why FEBEA is important, and work with FEBEA, not only for the network between the members, because there is a comprehensive approach in FEBEA that can help us differentiate the ethical financial institutions and products from the sustainable financial products. When we can be proactive with regards to the proposals made by the European Union. We can use this reflection work about sustainable and ethical finance to find out what we can do in order to make ethical finance grow, not only in the form of banks, but to help citizens, men and women. These are some of the elements why it's important to be part of FEBEA and work with FEBEA. Thank you very much. Now we're gonna watch a video that we have received from the Commission, from the DG Employment, Social Affairs and Inclusion. It's a video by Ruth Passerman, who is the Director of Funds, Programming and Implementation. We have had a close relationship with the Commission. In the 20th anniversary of FEBEA, we had a conference online with Nicholas Smith, who addressed our conference, and we have received this video from the European Commission.
Good morning, and thank you for this invitation to participate to your annual conference. It is an honor for me to represent the Commission in this event, and I really apologize that I could not be there in person due to a previous commitment. Ethical finance organizations are certainly important actors in the path towards inclusive and sustainable finance in Europe. Ethical finance providers today serve more than 700,000 customers in Europe, and ethical finance organizations' total assets amount to 30 billion euros. These are remarkable achievements in the very complex and very competitive world of banks and financial institutions. In the particularly difficult COVID times, ethical finance organizations have significantly contributed to the EU social policy objectives, supporting social enterprises and social economy organizations. Unfortunately, we are confronted again with uncertain times following the Russian aggression of Ukraine. The social impacts are already huge, and this comes on top of the challenging requirements for achieving inclusive and sustainable growth. One can expect that in the coming years, with the European Green Deal, the financial sector will pay much more attention to sustainability, including the social dimension. Ethical finance organizations will be much more needed. We can already see a growing demand from citizens and responsible finance investors. In today's context, ethical finance makes particular sense to people that want to be aware of the social impacts of their savings. Financial intermediaries and companies attached to ethical principles can acquire an important competitive advantage, especially as the interest in social sustainability and the environment grows. Now, as you know, the Commission adopted the European Action Plan for the Social Economy in December 2021. It contains EU actions to improve access to finance for social economy organizations and for social enterprises. Our evidence shows that social enterprises still face difficulties in accessive finance. This evidence was collected before COVID-19 pandemic, so today the current uncertainties in the economy have probably even increased these funding gaps. In response to COVID-19 and its impact on the real economy, the Commission rapidly deployed a set of instruments helping member states and economic agents to react and prepare the recovery path. We started with the SURE bonds, then the new European Social Fund Plus and Next Generation EU. These instruments provide member states an exceptional opportunity to rebuild the economy. And in terms of social finance, the Commission is putting in place a new generation of instruments under the social investments and skills window of the InvestEU program. Ethical finance organizations are well placed to help us to successfully implement these instruments that are precisely designed to support the needs of the social economy in all its multiple dimensions. Together with the European Investment Fund and other possible implementing partners, the window can boost social finance in areas going from social infrastructure to impact investing, microfinance, and support to social enterprises. These instruments have been put in place to address these concerns, providing an implicit guarantee to ethical and social finance providers. With InvestEU and the Social Economy Action Plan, we aim to continue supporting these intermediaries in their efforts to reach out to more organizations, to build their capacity, and to professionalize. In conclusion, let me remind that the Commission action in the social area is governed by the European Pillar of Social Rights Action Plan. This action plan contains ambitious targets, and it has been endorsed at the highest political level. I would like to thank FEBEA and its members for finance social business activities and social sectors endeavors which contribute directly to the achievement of these targets. Please continue to do so. Beyond the support that can be provided by public authorities, achieving these targets will require support from private finance actors committed with sustainability and ethical values, and FEBEA can contribute actively to this policy-making process. From our part, the Commission will continue to support the ethical finance movement in Europe and elsewhere. Thank you for your attention.
Y acabamos esta...
And let's finish this welcoming session listening to the representative of the City Council of Barcelona, Janet Sanz, Deputy Mayor of Environment and Ecology at the Barcelona City Council. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the city of Barcelona. Dear friends, for the city, for us, it's a pleasure and an honor that you're here holding your conference and having this space to build things. We were listening to the priorities we need in order to recover the economy, but people, citizens have to be at the center. And this has been your way of working. Finance with values, ethical banking that puts above all the life of people, environment, and working with values such as justice or sustainability. I would like to share with you some ideas, and there will be the intervention of another representative of Barcelona City Council who will talk in depth about what we are doing at the council. But I would like to outline some elements of our public policy, which is at the service of people. Many years ago, or for many years, our society has been participating, because there are many people participating in alternative of an economic and financial system which is unjust and favors the accumulation of wealth and doesn't take into account that much human needs. I would like to mention a person who we really loved, Arcadi Oliveras. I have no doubt that he would be here with you today. Unfortunately, he passed away, and he worked in the area of finances, but human finances, to help people. Arcadi always said that it was possible to move forward towards a more fair and just economy. And he gave us plenty of examples on how to work from public institutions in collaboration with other organizations and people. And he showed that it was possible to have a different economy. And now, with the pandemic, I think we have clearly seen the fragility of this predator economic model, which doesn't take into account people or the situation of the planet, and has led to an economic collapse. And these are the challenges we are facing in the 21st century. The pandemic has put on the table the need of being able to seize the opportunity to rethink everything, to rethink a model where financial speculation it's the most important. And I think that we've seen how pandemic has clearly had a negative impact. More than 4 million people have died. But we have gone back in terms of fighting poverty and extreme poverty. So it's very important to get back new policies and to change our system from a structural point of view, because we want to fight against poverty. Citizens are disappointed. They are disappointing with regards to traditional banking systems. Since 2008, public banks have been bailed out and at the same time people were evicted from their homes. Here in Barcelona, we are seeing how ATMs are disappearing, and it's difficult for old people to withdraw money. And that makes us think more and more about how we manage money. And more people reject this predator model that finances wars and destroys the planet. So we see more and more how more and more people want to have a more responsible consumption, which takes into account environment. And there are several examples concerning how we eat, renewable energies, or organizations that want to be sustainable. So in order to sustain this model, we need ethical banking, we need ethical organizations. So thanks to the effort of organizations, all the people, and this bigger awareness that our citizens have, that helps this ethical banking to move forward. And now ethical banking is no longer an utopia, it's a reality. And now institutions have to do more. All administrative levels have to commit. We have to use ethical finances, and we have to support the social and solidarity economy, because this is what our citizens deserve. And we have started doing that in Barcelona. The city is an international example in cooperativism, social economy, because we have lots of organizations that are changing the city, are changing the mobility in Barcelona, the way we eat in Barcelona, and we have a strong basis in order to change the model in the coming 20 to 30 years. We like to say that the future already exists, and we can see the changes here in Barcelona. So for us, ethical finances have been very important since 2016, and we are including these ethical finances in our policies here in Barcelona. And we have done it because we want to be coherent, because we want to promote the values that are important for civic society. I'm going to give you 4 examples, and I'm going to finish my intervention here. We know that there are many obstacles in order to overcome obstacles, in order to introduce something very simple, such as that ethical finances are part of Barcelona City Council. For instance, now we can say the alternative banking practices represent more than 60% of financing sources of Barcelona City Council. More than 60% of our financing sources come from the ethical or alternative banking transactions. The responsible declaration concerning tax havens in all kinds of initiative that Barcelona is carrying out, because in Barcelona we want responsible investment, responsible with regards to what's happening in the world. We have been facilitating the access of social economy organization and the access financing for these organizations, and ethical finances has been here a very important tool. We have agreements with FEBEA and other organizations that have allowed us the opportunity to give financing to organizations, social economy organizations, and sustainable organizations in our city. And the fourth element, housing, is one of the most important rights to live in a city. And we needed that housing was a part of cooperativism. And Barcelona is a city that has the biggest amount of projects of this kind. So we are lending public land in order to build social housing. Here, people are gathering in order to live in a different way in the city, but they need the resources in order to carry out their projects. So different finances are possible, and I think we are proving that in Barcelona. We have limited competencies, but we have the will, we have the commitment. So Barcelona wants to be an example for the rest of municipal authorities, regional and state authorities. We want to show that we need to make a global agreement, such as we have done for the climate, in order to foster this new economy which is based in ethical finance. Because for us it's clear that the biggest challenges of this century cannot be solved with the traditional method. So I know that you're gonna work on those challenges, and Barcelona will be always your partner. Thank you.
Thank you, Peru. Thank you, Hugo. Thank you, Janet. Before moving on to the next panel, we would like to share with you a very special contribution that we have received from Yolanda Díaz, the Vice President of the Government of Spain, Minister of Labour and Social Economy. We have a video intervention that we will share with you now. Thank you.
Gracias, FEBEA, en primer lugar.
Thank you very much, FEBEA, first of all, for inviting me to your annual conference in Barcelona. It is important for me to underline the importance of this year's motto to connect ethical finance with sustainable growth. I think it's a great and timely subject at the moment in which we are facing the recovery and transformation of our economies and their social coordinates. Please wait a moment because the video is not being projected and the sound is not getting to the booth.
Dar la mano con la primacía de las personas en el desarrollo económico. La economía.
Social economy is at the moment of transformation and adaptation. Thanks, FEBEA, for inviting us to your annual conference in Barcelona. It is important for us to underline the opportunity of this year's model, which is to connect ethical finances to social economy and inclusive and sustainable growth. I think it's a very timely conference at the moment where we are facing the recovery and transformation of our economies under social and ecological coordinates. Organizations such as yours point to the fact that democratic governance, solidarity and sustainability can be hand in hand with the primacy of people in economic development. Social economy is undergoing transformation and adaptation to the new social, economic and technological reality. During this process, it's going to need support by all the organizations, from the Minister of Health and Labor, of Labor. We're looking forward to a support which will contribute to this transformation. Via the Banca Ética, Art Cooperativa, these entities set an example in our country, supporting the financing of projects with social impact by using transparency and also opting for ethical commitment. We need your knowledge and experience in ethical finance in order to go deep into the principles of respect. I want to remind you the option of this government in favor of social economy and corporate social responsibility. We cooperate with all the key agents, public and private, by redesigning strategies, adapting regulation, and promoting programs and projects which are innovative, always with a European dimension, which you can see in the European Plan of Social Economy. In this sense, our model of partnership among different entities developed by FEBEA during the last 21 years is very inspiring. Congratulations, then, for all the good work that you have deployed, and thank you very much for continuing to deepen into an economic model improving the quality of life of our citizens and committed with the planet and its sustainability.
And now I would like to invite my friend Dominique, who will moderate the next panel, to come to the podium. Merci, Dominique. Okay.
Bon dia a tothom.
Good morning, everyone. If you allow me, I'm not going to try to speak Spanish, neither Catalan, don't worry. And since it's possible to speak in French, I'm going to use my mother tongue. Some of you are going to recognize this language. And today we are gathered here in presence, face to face, in this FEBEA annual conference. As Hugo Vigeri and Perusa have already mentioned, it is a very important gathering in order to continue building a European agenda of ethical finance and alternative banking. So we are here today in the city of Barcelona, which is a European city, a city which is helping us to reflect on this agenda, a building agenda after the COVID crisis, which has shuffled all the cards of the life of our institutions, but also the mission of ethical finance and alternative banking. Our first panel will speak about a central challenge, and it will deal about public policies and how these public policies in an efficient way can reinforce social economy through ethical finance. At a moment where the private and public actors are approaching this post-COVID relationship. So the dialogue between all these actors is of a crucial importance, and this is what FEBEA is allowing us to do today. And in order to speak about all this, and in order to organize a joint dialogue during this first part of the conference, we are going to listen to 3 different testimonies. The first one will come from a regional perspective here in Catalonia. The second one will be from a national perspective. We will listen to the perspective of Spain. And the third one will be from a European perspective point of view. And in order to tackle this subject, we have here with us today, we're going to listen to Mr. Álvaro Porro, who is Commissioner of Social Economy, Local Development and Food Policy of the Barcelona City Council. So Álvaro, please, you have the floor. And then we are also going to listen to Maravillas Espín, who is Director General for Self-Employment, Social Economy and Corporate Social Responsibility at the Spanish Ministry of Labor and Social Economy. Maravillas, please, you have the floor. And as a European citizen, let me underline this ministry, which is articulating and uniting work and social economy, which I think is highly important. And then, finally, we are going to listen to Mrs. Cristina Dumitrescu. Good morning, Cristina, who is in charge of Inclusive Finance, Senior Investment Manager in Europe. So our guests today are going to make their contributions and their presentations, and thanks to the active listening by Isabel Philippe, who is CEO of Credal, and Mr. Victor Meseguer, who is Director of Social Economy Europe, will make their own comments about these presentations. So Álvaro, you have the floor. Here in Barcelona, how the different policies implemented from a municipal point of view reinforce the social economy aspects of this fantastic city of Barcelona through ethical finances. It is not a philosophic subject, but we are eager to listen to you. Thank you very much, Álvaro.
For your presentation. Yes, maybe not philosophy, but sometimes it could be even more funny, even more nutritive. Hablaré en castellano, aunque creo que aquí estamos.
I'm going to speak Spanish, although I think we all speak several languages, but to make it easier for the audience, I would like to specify a little bit and talk to you about the different policies that we have deployed from the municipality of Barcelona. I think we started back in 2015, 2016, in order to present to you the different challenges that we face from the public administration when we want to speak about financial and ethical finances. You have 5-6 minutes to present, and then we will speak about the challenges. So we leave the challenges for the end. Yes, you'll have time for that. Well, in any case, maybe let me start by telling you that I will divide these policies of the municipality of Barcelona in two big blocks. One related to operations and endowment, where the municipality tries to use ethical finance as an operator, a service operator, and where in reality, although it might seem very simple, the path that we have traveled so far by the public administration, at least around us, was relatively small and non-existent. One of the things I would like to highlight is when we made offers, or tenders, sorry, when we were tendering for endowment, indebtedness, we were not including any social clause, and this is going to be one of the changes which will be in favor of ethical finance. And then what the municipality of Barcelona did, as the deputy mayor said, try to achieve the weight on conventional banking on the operations of the municipality of Barcelona and indebtedness to be reduced. So public banking and ethical banking had more importance. And this is one of the main difficulties that we encounter, something I will talk to you about later, and it's the volumes of public administration, especially the municipality of Barcelona, tended to be above the possibilities of ethical finance and banking. So we had to work on the different volumes in order to generate a balance between both institutions. It is true that from a quantitative point of view, the volume has been done related to public finance compared to conventional banking, the European Investment Bank and the European Council, but also we have entered strongly in this level of indebtedness. The levels are 30.2 million euros, represented only 3.7%, but let's remember that it was non-existent before. So we have broken the ice. In the case of public banking, 54.5% of indebtedness, so we are speaking about almost 600 million euros. And this is something that we have of indebtedness compared to public banking. Another operational element, quite simple, has been to generate an instruction of deposits in entities of ethical banking and solidarity banking, and we have invested part of this operation for this type of entities, and also we have introduced changes in our regulation in order to be able to do it. So simple, maybe we needed some rating accreditations and we didn't have any agencies in the ethical banking agencies, so we are operating with entities which are not analyzed by these rating entities. Not to dwell on the subject, but the other block is related maybe not so much with the operations of the Municipality of Barcelona, but how between the Municipality of Barcelona and ethical finance entities we have generated instruments of social economy in the city. And we have to say that in a way, well, this is not something isolated, baiting in favor of ethical banking, as the Deputy Mayor has explained, is not only related to ethical banking, but activities of evaluation, financing, subsidies, which is quite a wide range, which will take us hours to explain. But if we speak about the way we have co-produced and collaborated with ethical banking entities, let me point to 3 projects that we have developed very recently. One, the Municipal Credit Fund, which has been done through subsidies, and we understood that one of the best possibilities that we had to collaborate between ethical finance and public administration in this type of economy was sharing risks. So we generated an investment fund from ethical finance in a way that the municipality was taking on some challenges in case of debt of these entities. If there was not default payments, they could be used in a recurrent way. So we have worked with FIARE and COP57, and we have renewed 2017 until 2021, 64 operations with 54 companies, 6.5 million euros between 17 and 20. Now, at FIARE, we are also working on the possibility to reusing these funds in an impact investment fund through ethical finance, through 300,000 euros. And the last phase of our project are the instruments that we're trying to activate, working within a strategy of social economy of the city up to 2030. Many guidelines, I'm not going to summarize all of them. One specific of ethical finance, a working group, more than 100 operators of the city active, thinking about how to build these instruments. 2 of them, which are of a special interest in the logics of opening our future. One, investment fund, participating in the investment fund of ethical finance. We're going to launch a call in order to participate in investment funds of ethical finance. The municipality will be part of this investment chapter between 2 and 4 million euros, entering into the logic of investing in social capital, patient capital, something that had not been done until now from the Municipality of Barcelona, and it's easy to find similar cases. And finally, a more specific one for housing and use of housing. As the Deputy Mayor has explained, one of the biggest impact of collaboration, public finances, ethical finances, and the Municipality of Barcelona, co-housing, 30 projects, 2,500 people will be living in this type of share housing cooperatives in Barcelona, and now in ethical co-finance as financing, but we are also creating a guarantee fund. We are working with a federation of different groups, Sheira and the Generalitat of Catalonia, and we're working in the creation of a guarantee fund, so this type of projects can not only work with the help of the municipality of Barcelona, but also in private plots. And this fund will be not only for Barcelona, but the whole of Catalonia. So we have different instruments that we have co-built together, and in the end will facilitate the expansion of this type of economy in Barcelona. And I leave it here. Well, thank you very much, Álvaro. Thank you very much. I think that the municipality of Barcelona has done much more than breaking the ice. With all this wide range of instruments available for the population. And let me also highlight the importance of the dialogue between civil society and the municipality. So thank you very much, Álvaro, for this important contribution and experience from a municipal point of view, which can maybe inspire other municipalities in Europe. Maravillas! So now the floor is yours. From a national perspective, from a Spanish perspective, we know that you have very important experiences of social and financial inclusion, and we would love to listen to you, what you have to say. Thank you. Well, thank you very much. Good morning, everybody, and thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to approach this challenge. The first thing I would like to say is that in our country we have an ecosystem of a very consolidated social economy and a very dynamic one, which is a benchmark all over Europe. Why am I saying that? Well, first, because we have a huge diversity of entities which cover the needs of people, and this is something that will be repeated all through the day, and people become protagonists of their own projects, and these are emancipating projects, always according to principles and common values. Secondly, because we have strong representative organizations which find a common space in CETES, whose president, Juan Antonio Petro, is also president of Social Economic Europe, in a way that we are guaranteeing that we become visible from a European perspective, and we are also intensifying the influence capacity of our social economy. We also have groups and research centers for excellency and networks of reference as CTEC or MS. All these with legal infrastructure, providing consistency to all these key agents from the law of social economy, 5/2011, pioneer law from a European perspective, our laws of cooperatives, and also a legal framework which is very important from an autonomic point of view, because it's close to the territory and adapted to the huge economic diversity and also the wealth of our social economy within our territory. In this ecosystem, ethical banking plays an important role, a role which helps us to structure all these key factors in order for them to fit into social economy. Ethical banking is protected by social economy. They recognize when there is a project of social economy. They are aware of the diversity of needs of the different entities. It is not the same to speak about the needs of an insertion company, a cooperative, or other diverse entities. And they also reach where ordinary banking cannot reach in order to democratize economy with the aim to strengthen the different entities of social economy and to contribute to the transformation which is so needed in our country. Aware of this huge transforming and democratizing power of social economy, the Ministry of Labour and Social Economy has shown its commitment and has also, as it has been mentioned in the video presented by our Vice President, making social economy visible not only in the language of the Ministry of Labour and Social Economy, but in each one of our public policies. This is the reason why it has been fundamental for us to establish a permanent dialogue with the different organizations, also with the regions and entities, because we have been able to cover the most pressing needs of the different entities during the pandemic. We have been able to set up a table for social economy, and we have been able to create a permanent dialogue at all times, and also an ad hoc group with the different autonomous communities to implement good practices and being able to cover and be up to the needs of the different entities. So we are very much aware of the efforts carried out by these ethical groups during all this time, and also now in front of the impact created by the Ukraine-Russia conflict and also the increase of the prices of electricity. This permanent dialogue with organizations and its territories has allowed us to establish a reliable diagnosis of the different needs and to target our public policies with the aim to support the development of a huge transforming potential of social economy, together with its impact towards a fairer transition, which is a transition which has become indispensable if we want to move forward in equality, democracy and sustainability, not only environmental but social. And which are these policies? We'll try to make a summary, but this working method, which is social dialogue, has become institutionalized by reactivating the Council of Promotion of Social Economy, which is an evaluation organ which belongs to the government, with the presence of all the administration, the different ministries of the state government, autonomous communities, municipalities, organizations representative of the sector, and also different experts helping us to try to improve. Also, we are introducing tools which favor the access to European finance through the comprehensive plan of social economy and through a strategic project of social economy and care, which is essential in order to place the focus of investment in a sector which has become a leverage in order to transform our reality, together with a national strategy of social economy, a roadmap which is inspired in the sources of the regions, different plans that have already been implemented in the different territories, also in line with the requirements of the European Action Plan. We also contribute to the different plans of measures in order to face the demographic challenges. And last year we introduced measures in Teruel, this year in Santiago de Compostela, which is making visible the social economy tissue in the territory and how from the territory we can build the society. We're also working in order to make visible social economy within the government. This is a fight that we are all involved in, and also from inside out. So we are modifying the different legislations in order to remove any obstacle, avoiding these projects moving forward. We're going to modify the different legislation, adjusting it to the present needs and the law of social economy. And finally, we are also promoting as much as possible our presence in the international sphere in order to make visible all the work carried out from the social economy in Spain, in an international sphere, and this is something which has to be taken advantage of in order to move forward. Well, thank you very much. Maravillas for such an emotional project. We Europeans can see and consider this important national experience in order to institutionalize social economy through this axis that you have highlighted. Democratize, making visible establish a dialogue and support, and also to share from an international perspective. So thank you very much once again, Maravillas, for your interesting presentation. And now we're going to give the floor to Cristina Dumitrescu. In Spanish, so let's continue in this beautiful language. So Cristina will help us to throw some light on how these public policies from a European perspective can, in fact, promote social economy through ethical finance, but from a European action. Thank you very much, and thank you, FEBEA, for inviting me to be here with you in this first meeting of FEBEA, face-to-face, after 2 or 3 years. And I think that it's one of the first meetings face-to-face at the European level of the international networks of social economy, ethical finance, or microfinances. Well, we have been listening to the local and national presentations in the field of social economy. From a European perspective, our major intervention in social economy appeared back in 2015 with the launching of the financial instruments under the Employment and Social Innovation Programs. Easy. If an intervention in microfinance appeared back in 2010 with the EPMF Progress Microfinance, the EASY was the first program launching financial instruments dedicated to social entrepreneurship. And we have to say that out of the 125 financial institutions with which we established some guarantee contracts under EASY, 38 financial institutions are dedicated to social entrepreneurship. And among these 38, 10 of them are members of FEBEA. Under the EASY program, altogether, we try 4.2 billion euros to be invested in financing micro and social businessmen. Out of this 4.2 billion, almost 35% of this amount, 1.3 billion, are for social entrepreneurship. And I think that since it was the first European program dedicated to these companies, to social economy, I think that the results are impacting. But I also think that there is one result which is even more important than financial results and numbers, and this speaks of visibility, because those financial instruments concentrated in the fight of, not the fight, the light, corrects the speaker, in social economy and social entrepreneurship as a different instrument of carrying out business. It's a new business model in the market. It's a model which all of us have to learn from and be aware of. We have to be aware of as financial institution, because in the end, it's another entrepreneurship project that we can finance, but we have to get to know it by the social business, because there are banks, they lend money, yes, but they are ethical banks with a very responsible support in lending money to social economy. And I think that this is what we are going to see and continue to see under the new program, the InvestEU, under the social investments and skills investments, that the General Director of DG Employment has mentioned before. And I think that this is going to escalate the activity and the financial instruments and ethical finance in the world of social entrepreneurship. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Cristina. The important thing is that we, representatives of ethical financing organizations, are invited to continue strengthening our mission of inclusion, social and financial inclusion, using the tools of promotion that we have at the European level, without Europe carrying out our role. Thanks for pointing out this very important axis of public policy. We have seen very quickly we have seen a snapshot of the situation. Thank you for all your important contributions. And now, Álvaro, what are the immediate challenges or the short-term challenges that we are facing to implement our projects, our missions, to better answer to the needs and expectations of social economy? How do you see it? If I focus on talking about challenges and ethical banking, and according to our experience in the Council, I would say that there is a lack of culture of working together, authorities and ethical banking, and sometimes there are some misunderstandings. Well, according to my experience, sometimes it has to do with specific tools like the rating, or sometimes it's more the culture of, for instance, civil servants, that they don't know what ethical banking is. And for them, sometimes it's something that they don't understand. I think in Barcelona City Council, we have been working on that. And I think this is one of the obstacles other authorities can face. But there is a bigger visibility in our society. So I think that we have to carry on working. And here we can work with public authorities. And this event is a good example of that, to make this visible, to work with media as well, because sometimes media don't understand what an ethical banking is and what it's a CSR policy. If we talk about treasury, the problem for us is that the capacity of absorption of ethical banking. Barcelona City Council needs 700 million to manage treasury in a smoothly way, and this is out of the scope of the ethical banking. At least here, financing 160 million per year indebtedness for Barcelona City Council, and this is out of reach or proportion of the ethical banking. Another challenging paying, for instance, or the office. We have here some limitations, and we have to be aware what we want to focus on, because sometimes we are facing with the structural elements that are difficult to change. Maybe what we have to do is to continue creating joint tools, joint instruments, and I think we have to concentrate our efforts. We have created tools with ethical finances in recent years. It's a good path, and we need to escalate these tools. We have to work in different areas and see what are the challenges regarding ethical financing. For instance, housing. Here we have to be bold, I think, and I think FIARE and COP57 have made a big effort, and without that effort, it would be difficult for Barcelona housing policy to be implemented. We are talking with Triodos and Banca Cooperativa. We are trying to find allies in the finance world and open up to new areas. With Giuseppe, we were talking about the lack of innovation projects. We need ethical finance to have this with projects that important in the technological area, because technology is very important for our economy. I haven't mentioned before, and this will be the last thing I will say, we created an instrument, the sustainable bonds. The indebtedness of the council, but for projects we have a sustainable approach, and the ethical bank could participate here. We did that in 2017. We don't have new data. 3.4% of Barcelona Council indebtedness. We could go over 10% working with ethical banking. We have practical challenges, but above all, I think it's important to make it visible, to make it bigger, and to have instruments that are close to our real social tissue. We need to be able, between the administration and ethical finance, to get close to citizens and make that social economy can go bigger, because otherwise we will always be at the periphery. Thank you, Álvaro. I think that at the level of Barcelona City Council, you have already initiated a dialogue with institutions of ethical finance organizations, and this is part of the agenda of Barcelona to deepen this dialogue with these ethical finance institutions, to do more, to continue working efficiently. Thank you. I can guarantee that the Barcelona experience will be disseminated to other councils in Europe. Maravillas. At the Spanish level, what would be the immediate challenges to carry on strengthening what you have done, recognizing the importance of the social economy as a key element for the social economic inclusion? I agree with what Álvaro has said. I've learned many things listening to him, but my answer is the same. I would point out two main challenges. On the one hand, visibility. I think that we have to break this glass ceiling of social financing and ethical finances. And Daniel has mentioned it before. We talk about principles and values, and we all know about them. But citizens, even if we share those principles and values with the vast majority of citizens, the citizens, they don't know the languages, the codes we use. So we have to really explain them so the citizens can understand them, particularly young people, because they fully share these principles and values that guide the social economy. So we have to promote this connection, the link, make it visible at least, because this connection exists. Ethical banking is not just a name. There are actions behind the words, behind the ethical banking, the social economy. There is a way of doing things. We're talking about real products, things that work, and it has been mentioned. It's not just talking. There is a real demand by people. The visibility showing what we do will allow or will give the sector to have an impact, and that's the goal, to create projects in medium and long term, projects that have an impact on society. And at the Ministry for Employment and Social Economy, we work for that every day. We take into account dialogue, we listen, we understand, and we try to set up alliances in order to transform sectors such as the ethical banking. The second challenge would be to seize the opportunity, as Pedro was saying. The opportunity of a moment like now, when there are several interactions, an opportunity that goes hand in hand with many responsibilities. In the government, we are developing legal instruments, collaborating with private and public organizations in order to invest in sectors that guarantee the transition that we need if we want to achieve sustainable goals, the technological digital transition in order to guarantee the social cohesion. The ethical banking, with the knowledge it has about the needs, will have a very important role. We want social economy to be known and to be recognized as a real alternative, which is sustainable, an alternative to the traditional economic model. And all its values have to be appreciated by investors and by citizens. The principles of ethical banking are in line with the values of society and benefits the civil society, contributes to the work integration, social integration of groups that have been marginalized, in line with the sustainable development in the territory. It's an opportunity for all of us, and it's our responsibility to make the most of it. Thank you very much, Maravillas, for your contribution. It's very pleasant to see that a public policy takes into account the role of the stakeholders of social economy, and saying that, or differentiating their role, and the idea of establishing a dialogue between the different stakeholders. This is particularly relevant right now when at the European level we can perceive some social rejection. Christina, so from your point of view, at a European level, what can you say concerning the immediate challenges? I think that challenges speak for themselves. There is a great need to make social economy and social entrepreneurship visible. And I think ethical banking has the role and the need and the responsibility to fight in order to achieve this visibility, because at the end of the day, it's their social role. They were created for that, to show there is another way of making businesses, another way of negotiating. I think that ethical banks can do that not only to show to the world that there is another way of doing things, but also to show other banks, which are not ethical banks by definition, that they can go into this world of social economy and they can finance social economy, and that this could be normal business at the end of the day. On the other hand, ethical banking has the role to educate the sector of social economy. So entrepreneurs that put impact and people before profit can access to financing, can borrow money, can receive counseling from banks or other financial institutions. And we have to say that sometimes non-banking institutions are the ones financing this part of the economy, the social part of the economy. And these institutions, or it's easier for those institutions to finance social entrepreneurship. There is a third challenge and another role for ethical finance institutions. We have to create tools to measure impact, the impact of finance that go into social economy. We have to measure impact of social companies in our society. And ethical banks, networks like FEBEA here have a role to play. Thank you, Christina. And finally, Christina, you have pointed out an important point that has to do with pedagogy. Ethical banks promote different businesses. And by doing that, they have the capacity to have an impact on the traditional banking system. Educate entrepreneurs as well, so they can access in the best way to ethical financing and measure the impact in order to promote the social entrepreneurship. Thank you to our three panelists. And now I'm gonna call Isabel Philippe, the General Director of CREDAL, so Isabel can tell us what she thinks after hearing to our three panelists. Good morning, and thank you to FEBEA for having invited me. Thank you to FEBEA, as I was saying. And thank you for the commitment of the Spanish government, the commitment of Barcelona City Council. I'm going to talk a little bit about CREDAL. I have a presentation with me. I would like to see the next slide.
Voilà. Alors, donc, je vais vous présenter, faire la présentation.
I'm gonna talk a little bit about CREDAL and gonna mention some of the things that have been said. CREDAL is ethical financing, human history, individual and collective. I'm going to mention some of them. And ethical finance is more than money, is a link of solidarity, more than a link of relation of between the North and the South, of domination. The history of CREDAL is the history of a movement in the 80s. Citizens got together in the movement in South Africa, and they realized that their savings that were in traditional banks, there were societies that defended the apartheid in South Africa. So they created a cooperative, CREDAL, so their savings were invested to finance social and local projects in Belgium. And this was the origin of CREDAL. That was a movement, an anti-apartheid movement. Here we have Mr. Diabate. He lost his car, furniture and electrical appliances in the floods that happened. He was not covered by his insurance against but weather or catastrophes, climate catastrophe, and he obtained a personal microcredit of 7,500 euros to buy a second-hand car and a washing machine and some furniture. It's a microcredit, and it's a partnership between CREDAL and his shareholders and the public authorities of Wallonie and Brussels. Another story. Here we have Baha, a Syrian refugee who arrived 5 years ago in Liège, and he opened a Syrian restaurant. He had worked with Caritas International as a volunteer, and he decided to start working professional. He got a microcredit of 12,000 euros, and that was possible because there was a relationship between our investors, public authorities in Wallonie and Liège that allow Baha to open his business. Third story, the health house, healthcare, that's a house, and we have two nurses, a social assistant, that have created a health center in a small village, the Pride village in Belgium, in Wallonie. And they see medicine as a prevention and community work. So they were at the forefront during the pandemic. They were together with the people that needed it the most. These are three stories that show the origins of ethical finance that appear in social combat and environmental fight. Ethical finance and public finance are at the service of society. In fact, we are a common team in order to build a more inclusive and sustainable society. I have been asked to talk about the challenges when it comes to collaborate with ethical financiers and public authorities. We have talked about dialogue before, and it's important that I think I prefer to talk about values because we're a team and we have to have values that guide us. The first value is simplicity. I think that we have to be as simple as possible because we are at the service of the actors on the ground. We have to put ourselves in their shoes to be realistic when we ask for something, and we have to measure the impact, but we have to be realistic because what's important is to support the work of other people. So we have to accept this concept of craft, and that means to be close to the needs of the social stakeholders. So first value, simplicity. Second value, connection to the field. Our customers are also our collaborators in a certain way. And we have mentioned about or talk about challenges. And it's true that it's very difficult to have agents on the ground, but we are connected because we are part of the ecosystem. We are connected with the ground, with the field, and we can see the needs and adapt ourselves. We don't have branches, but the branches are the networks that we have created. Maravillas and Alvaro have already mentioned there is this association fabric in Spain, and there is a permanent dialogue with public authorities, and this is very interesting. We have something similar in Belgium, but we can always improve things. It's important to see up to what point we have to listen, because we want to be connected to the field to adapt to the needs. Third value, coordination, shared and universally accessible information, but also coordination between financiers, public authorities at the regional, local level in order to avoid contradictions and in order to provide an answer, and so that people can benefit from what we offer. Fourth value, vision. We have to anticipate. We have to dare. When it comes to pilot projects, and we have to risk, and that's what we've heard. The Barcelona Council is doing, creating joint instruments, accept the level of risk, and European programs organized by the EIF, microfinances, that means sharing risk. And this is key if we want to move forward and develop our projects. Innovation also and vision means listening to others, to be close to the ground, to the field. Digitalization, we don't have branches, as I say, but digitalization is a good way to get closer to our customers and collaborate with public authorities. So digitalization is expensive. Here we have to work with capacity building, but it's important. Sometimes conditions are tough. I think that we will have the opportunity to talk about that. The fifth vision is a vision to put people at their center. Our vision is important. We don't have to always think about risks, but to think that we are here to work for the environment and for people. And sometimes we have to accept, to be flexible. For Credal in Belgium, we have created partnerships, many associations, as you can see on the screen. We have associations with the European Union, FEBEA, and many others. And this is the impact of Credal network. 54 employees, 80 volunteers, more than 4,000 customers. You can see the outstanding credits, 3,700 shareholders, 374 people, job coach. And we can do that thanks to our partnership. It has been said it's worthwhile fighting together, and it's worthwhile to make this impact visible. The impact of Credal in Wallonie and the Brussels regions, and FEBEA's impact is a lot bigger, and we have to make it visible. And to conclude, I'd like to say that it's worthwhile because we all want a better world. And our motto is to continue working, to believe in this future And we have to face many challenges, but let's try to anticipate. Let's try to build a better future, concentrate our means, our energy in building a better future. And for that, we have to listen to what's happening on the field, and we have to be optimistic, and we have to have determination. It has been mentioned, determination. We have to have the conviction to work hand in hand with different stakeholders, with citizens, in order to face challenges. And together we can make a better world. Thank you. Em toca ja?
Sí. Bueno, hi ha pausa, però bueno. Si vols acabar.
Thank you, Isabel. You just mentioned an action that has shown its results in the long term. And you have reminded us that the human has to be at the center of our vision, that the strategy of our processes can create results that we can measure, and that sometimes the results can impress the traditional sector. And the traditional sectors ask itself how these people working in ethical finances can achieve these results. For them, it's a little bit of a mystery. I share your determination, Isabel, your conviction. We have to believe in the human element. And now let's talk to Victor Massaguet, Director of Social Economy Europe, who is gonna make the final remarks of this panel. We are eager to listen to your conclusions. Victor, what do you think about what's been said this morning? Thank you, Victor. You've got the floor.
Well, thank you very much. And first of all, it's a great pleasure to be here in Barcelona, and more so with the colleagues of the FEBEA, dear colleagues. Ethical banks. I'm going to speak in Spanish first and then switch to other languages. Ethical banks have been an essential part of social economy. They're moving social economy, they finance social economy, and they are also of social economic rules. Companies sharing financial entities and sharing the same values and principles. But in 2015, they joined the European family of social economy, and this is why I already felt at home, but I feel even more at home. Pero Daniel René Bludenczewski, apologies for my pronunciation, Aurora Goran, so many of you, all of you who are part of the history of Social Economy Europe, which is the voice of the collective interest of all the entities. We are part of the same family. Also betting in favor of Social Economy Europe back in 2015. And let me remind you that in 2014, Social Economy Europe was made by 10 members. Today we're more than 20. And FEBEA joined our ship of Social Economic Europe back then. They joined this vote when the European Commission was halfway through the implementation of the Social Business Initiative, and a group of crazy people believed that we needed a European action plan for social economy. We've been working together for more than 7 years, and 6 months ago the European Plan for Social Economy, a big European policy for social economy, became a reality, and we have done this together. Together, we have increased the visibility of social economy. Let me remind you of some of the activities that we have organized together, such as podcast finance for goods, visibility as a key factor, speaking among themselves, but speaking to the world. Another way of making companies is possible, another organization is possible, and another banking entity is possible. We did it back in 2020 and 2021, and we will continue to do so 2022 and beyond, to give more visibility to who we are and what we do. I've learned a lot about ethical finances by listening to this podcast and today. Some additional comments about what we've just listened to. I think that it's something is worthwhile highlighting of the members of the panel is, well, we have 3 policy makers, as we say in English. My apologies. You are different animals among yourselves, different human beings in different systems, but three policymakers. Language, it's very inclusive. Sometimes anybody working in public administration is a policymaker. Three policymakers, humble, extraordinarily humble, something that we don't always encounter in the public administration or the top levels of decision making. Dialogue, 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 learning, listening, a more perfect union, a more perfect social economic policy or framework. And this is something many public administrations, not the Commission, but the Commission is following the right line, but many public administrations in Europe have a lot to learn from. And now I'm going to concentrate in, yes, 6 months ago we introduced the action plan of social economy, but what are we facing now? What do we have ahead of us? The social plan was adopted in December. 6 months have gone by. We have celebrated this collective success, and now we have to think about what we want. Social economy, 2.8 million companies and entities, 13.6 million people, which means 6.3% of employment in Europe. Our objective, social economy Europe, an objective that has to be by definition shared, is to go from 6.3% of employment today to 10% in 2030, which is the horizon of the action plan. And we can do it. We have the great window of opportunity to do it. We need the correct level of ambition and collaboration. And this is the key to move forward and to be up to the opportunities, as Maravillas was saying, which is extremely important to mobilize ourselves to cooperate. There is a wide range for improvement in this sense. Action plan of social economy. In the action plan of social economy, we have the framework ambitions. In Europe, social economy goes from 0.6% of employment to 10% in countries such as Spain, Italy, France, Belgium. So there is a lot of diversity, heterogeneity in the development of social economy. And this means not the social economy is not necessary all over Europe, but because we come from different cultural policies and stories. Spain, for example, has been, since the end of the 70s, been a full democracy. And before we had something accelerated with the arrival of democracy, France after Second World War, and even before, because social economy comes from far away, with a movement, a very strong movement. And in other countries of Europe, we have a social economy which is just coming about as a result of its political story and transitions towards recent democracy. What we had before was not social economy, but economy directed by the state. So they had different names, but not a free social economy coming from our citizens. In a way that there is a huge potential for development everywhere. And this means that we have framework conditions which are extremely different. Here people are impressed, colleagues from Barcelona, from the government of Spain, impressed by the ecosystem, the first law of social economy, public policies from the level of municipality, the Council of Promotion of Social Economy, or huge investment projects such as the one that is going to happen this week, working together for it and other countries to follow the same line by using the next generation funds. These framework conditions are not at the same level everywhere, and public administrations, you have shown how humble you are. You don't want to impose social economy, but to establish a dialogue with the sector, point number one. And next year, the European Council is going to adopt, the Commission is going to propose the Council to adopt a recommendation on the Council on social economy. This is a unique opportunity, and social finances have to be there because they're an essential part of any ecosystem. They have to be part of a wide recommendation. First consideration, nothing for us without us. As my colleagues of the handicap movement say, this is not possible to make the recommendation without us, the Commission to do it without us, member states to do it without us. Colleagues of social economy have never participated in a meeting of the European Council. This is strange, 2.8 million companies represent 13.6 million employment, but we've never been at an informal meeting or working party. This doesn't happen in the industry. It happens to us. We have to conquer new spaces also from policy perspectives. Recommendation of the Council. I don't want to speak for too long because the coffee break is coming, but the different networks of social economy is where magic happens. We need more support. from a European level, from a national perspective, and this is foreseen by the action plan, national and regional. Nothing can happen where small units, social economy, we have big pioneers, unicorns, but in general we are small and medium-sized companies. We need networks, cooperation to become visible, to work together. Supporting the networks is fundamental, and we hope this is going to happen. Mobilizing investment, very important for you. The European Commission wants to mobilize more than 2,500 million euros for social economy, mobilized in the previous MFF, under the previous budget in the next 6 years. Fantastic. And not only 2,500 million euros of European money, part will be going to guarantees. In a way, they have a spillover effect, mobilize more private money, and also there are some public, local, regional, state administrations under the Next Generation EU, the European Recovery Plan, mobilizing investment. As Maravilla was saying, convergency, it is extremely important to have coalitions, to collaborate, and this is why next year, sorry, I'm speaking for too long, Dominique, I'm almost finished. The Commission is going to implement a EU single gateway of social economy, where we will find access to financial opportunities, studies, any report, laws on social economy, public policies of social economy, and this has to be connected to the pre-existing reality. Yes, Dominique, I've reached the end of my time. Yes, but I want, no doubt, that your enthusiasm is the best active asset for the conquer that you are mentioning.
Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you very much. And before closing this beautiful panel, I would like to thank the members of the panel. And it seems that Alvaro wants to say something very quickly, in a word and a half. Yes, just to invite you to make use of your time in Barcelona to get to know some projects. I think some visits are organized. You will see the super rich reality. Since I'm very pragmatic, I invite you to evaluate the possibility of loans and trade union credits to get out of this bottleneck of co-housing projects in Barcelona. Why not? Ethical bank, European one, with Catalan ethical bank, at a syndicated project to help us at this bottleneck, needing to grow and having some public administration, but we need a syndicated loan. Well, thank you very much. So a big round of applause to our participants. And now I think we all deserve a good coffee break. I do.
We have 20 minutes for a coffee break, okay? Thank you.
Perdóname, que es que estaba trabajando, no puedo.